Today we'll be discussing the Roman transportation system. I'm Godfrey Joyner, and I'll be talking about technology and innovations. The Roman highway system, with a length of 50,000 miles, was initially developed for military purposes, and consisted of locally available rocks and soils, as well as pozzolana concrete. The highway system consisted of several technologies still in use today, such as soil compaction, cambered road surfaces, road signs, and bridges to span waterways. In general, there were 5 layers to a Roman highway, the topmost being the summum dorsum, made of flat lava rocks. The nucleus beneath that, which consisted of the pozzolana concrete, acted as a solid surface for the lava rocks to be placed on. The rudus and statumen consisted of locally available rocks, usually excavated from the ground during the construction process. At the bottom was a layer of compacted soil to prevent settling. The transportation of water was also highly developed by the Romans, due to Rome being the world's first huge city. Aqueducts were constructed from stone connecting freshwater sources to the city. Sewers were used to transport wastewater from the city, but usually did not include plumbing from the surrounding dwellings.
Hello, I'm Austin Gould, and I'm going to talk about the significant events that took place during the Roman Empire. The Romans first created roads in 312 BC in order to connect and expand the empire, as well as make trading and transport easier. The Romans created 3 types of roads. They had highways or main roads, privately owned or county roads, and small public or private roads. These were funded and maintained publicly or privately, depending on the road. This is a map of the roads that connected the Roman Empire in 14 AD. The Romans built bridges to cross rivers and greatly reduced the distance they had to travel and the time it took to get somewhere. The first Roman bridge was built in 109 BC.
Next, we're going to talk about how the roads were funded and the invention of tolls. The building of new roads was completely funded by the government. However, the maintenance of roads was not. This fell to whichever town, city, or even property owner was closest to the roads. Over time, this became a very impractical way to keep the roads maintained. So they searched for a new way to fund the roads without increasing taxes overall. This is how they came up with the idea of tolls. Tolls were added at transition points on roads, meaning any borders, mountain passes, bridges, or city gates that were there. Tolls were added in these locations for 2 main reasons. The first is that these locations took the most upkeep and maintenance to run smooth. The second, where there were already soldiers placed here, the soldiers were there to look for runaway slaves, pass messages, and direct any lost travelers. So they became the first toll collectors as well. Tolls were not a flat rate as they typically are today. They varied based on what goods were being traveled with. Within a province, tolls were typically 2% of the worth of the goods, and at borders they were at 2.5% typically, though they could be as high as 10% for certain goods, and for government-sanctioned travel as low as 0%.
Next, we're going to cover Roman transportation legislation. We're going to discuss how Romans used law to provide a basis for roadway sizes. We will then discuss combining roadways and footpaths, as well as some additional travel regulations. In the 12 tables, Table 8, Law 8 states that the straight road shall be 8 feet wide and curves shall be 16 feet wide. Law 9 states that land next to a highway may be closed in any way, but unenclosed land may be driven on by others. Roman practices may vary from these standards. Roman right of going established a claim to use a footpath across private land. Roman right of driving established a carriage track. Combining footpaths and carriage tracks created the first combined traveling passages. Lex Julia Municipalis restricted commercial carts to nighttime access to the city. Law and tradition forbade most use of vehicles in urban areas. Married women and government officials were often exempt from these laws. Senators and their sons were forbidden to own ships carrying more than 300 amphora. Roman law of sea was based heavily on laws created by the roads. However, much of road law of sea was lost in time.